This is the 241st episode of CloudFocus Weekly for the second week of April 2016. This episode is titled Catfish Ketchup. CloudFocus Week is brought to you by Arkus, specializing in Salesforce implementation, consulting, and Force.com development. Search for Arkus, A-R-K-U-S, on the App Exchange and read what our clients have to say about us. I'm your host, Jason Atwood. Joining me, co-host 241 times in a row, Mr. Ketchup, Mr. Catfish, Justin Elstein. Justin, how you doing?
I don't like catfish.
Catfish Ketchup.
I mean, I'm a big fan of Southern cuisine and all, but I don't like catfish.
Do you know why I named it Catfish Ketchup?
Well, no. I have no idea. Just catch up because we're catching up on things.
So I went ketchup, and then I thought
catfish
because it rhymed. It was kind of like
That's it because it rhymed.
It was just stupid.
Stupid. You're stupid.
It was stupid. That was why I did it. It was kind of funny.
I caught some flack last week.
Can we talk about the thing that you posted in Slack? Not till tomorrow.
Depends when you're going to post this podcast.
I'll post it tomorrow.
If you post it tomorrow afternoon, then we can certainly talk about
Afternoon, noon, or in the afternoon?
Like once the official press release goes out.
Really?
Then there's a press release going out tomorrow. So yes.
So let's talk about it then.
About that.
Oh, I feel like it should be its own podcast. So many things to say. Maybe we should even know what happens.
Well, I know what's happening.
Right, but we don't know.
I know what's making happening.
Make it happening.
Make it happening.
Make it happening. Decisions. What do you want to do? You want to talk about it?
I so want to talk about
Let's talk about it. Let's just talk about it.
But I want to talk about it in
we have because the title of that podcast has got to be really good.
Approval process.
It's got to be
and I feel like we need to maybe have a pre-talk. Like this might not be an off-the-cuff thing.
Wait, first of all, we are not pre-talking anything. We are just going to do everything off the cuff. That would be not true to our fans by just pre-talking. Let's not do it.
I think we need to hold.
Okay.
All right, so today is April 14th.
Yes.
The day before tax day.
Right.
Tomorrow is April 15th.
Right.
There will be a press release tomorrow from salesforce.org.
Right.
You can read it. We will discuss it the next time we do a podcast on CloudFocus Weekly, which may be in a month.
This has been the worst year.
We're so terrible. It's the first year we've
really missed weeks.
Like people are tweeting me like, "What's up with CloudFocus quote weekly? Where's it at?" And I'm catching flack in person at world tours.
I think we should rename this CloudFocus whenever.
How about just CloudFocus?
No, CloudFocus. Well, it could just be the CloudFocus podcast.
Yeah, the CloudFocus podcast,
or just CloudFocus, maybe.
CloudFocus when we feel like it. CloudFocus when we're in the same city for a whole week together at the same time.
Yes, it's definitely a combination of our availability, level of busyness, and just having to carve it out. There's
a very complex calculation.
Well, first there's an approval process
for
the name of the podcast.
For the name, it goes through a process.
By the way, the next podcast, the one that we talk about, the thing that we're not talking about now, I'm not approving it, and I'm going to go whoa crazy on the name.
You need to read the press release
because it's going to take the last time
you need to be informed.
Well, yeah, I will, of course.
I feel informed.
I also because I'm still getting feedback from the naming of that podcast. And so I feel like it was the best podcast ever because people are still talking about it. So next time I'm going to go crazy.
Do you think anyone's going to talk to you about Catfish Ketchup?
Yes. They'll be like,
remember when you guys did Catfish Ketchup and you talked about nothing for the first 10 minutes of the podcast?
It's fine. That's what they expect. Listen, if they expect high quality podcast, then this is not it.
This isn't it. This is a good download. Thank you for downloading.
Right.
We will see you later.
That's it. The next 35 minutes will be filled with nothing but nonsense.
Hey, do we have an agenda?
We do.
Great.
First off, we have
do it.
A plethora. Yeah, we have a plethora of blog posts. We're only going to pick a couple because we have so many. So
because CloudFocus Monthly.
Because CloudFocus Monthly.
The blog still churns out once a week.
Could be going to twice a week. So the blog really should be where you go. Like, this podcast, whatever. But the blog actually has stuff on it
This
all the
podcast
time.
is just,
The blog has gotten better.
Thanks for downloading.
So we're going to talk about 2 of those. We are going to cover a little bit, just maybe not like the story, but maybe our feelings on the encryption debate and Apple and FBI and all that kind of stuff. We've been to not 1, but 2 world tours, not together, but separately. We'll talk about that. And then we have some Twitter and Facebook news. So, there's that going on. Also, outside our studio here, or across the hall from our studio, there's a huge street party
concert
going
on in Times Square. You know what's been happening?
What's been happening?
Making it happening.
Make it happening.
Is the, not to be political or anything, but the primary is coming up here in New York in less than a week.
Sorry, this podcast was just censored.
And what the candidates are doing to get people out to their rallies is they're throwing concerts. They're quite literally throwing concerts that people want to go to, and then it's like a concert plus politician
Equals fun?
equals, I don't know, but get people to come to a free concert.
Well, they're doing one out by us in our
and it's
park.
a concert.
It's a concert,
It
and
is
then
a
then
concert,
speak.
and then a Bernie Sanders. Right outside our door.
So is it
It's a free concert.
who's going?
No clue.
Oh, okay.
Some band. Don't know who they are.
I don't know if that's really helped me.
And
What's
then it's him.
what's burning down the house?
Is that
What's the name of that band?
I
Oh,
feel like you're making me feel bad.
Right. I don't know if it's as funny on the podcast, but having me do the movements, where
Oh my god, that's so funny.
All right.
I feel really bad because
You should know that. It's something.
It's the Talking Heads.
Talking Heads, right? Yeah. So that should be his song, "Burning Down the House," right? Feel the burn,
I guess.
Or doesn't Billy Joel do a burning song? What's that song? What's that? Oh, we didn't start the fire.
We didn't start the fire, but there's no burn in there.
But we didn't start the fire. Feel the burn.
I guess he doesn't spell it that way though.
But that's the whole joke of his campaign. It's like everywhere, feel the burn. Anyway, let's not get there.
Burning
Let's
Man?
talk about the pluses and pitfalls of virtual user training.
Why not?
So is this before mine or after? It doesn't matter. We'll talk about this one
I
first.
think it's before, but that's a pet peeve of people that we don't have dates on our blog posts.
They're timeless. Why don't you put dates on them?
Dates.
Are things that you put on things. By Amy Bucciferro. It's tough every time. Little tough.
You worried about butchering that one?
Butchering it. So this is the pluses and pitfalls of virtual user training. Actually, really, not saying actually, but a good blog post about sort of, when you're doing training. We're talking about Salesforce training, although I guess you could handle it for any kind of training. Just sort of how to keep people engaged and how to keep their attention and best practices. It's sort of just a lot of stuff that I think we do, but I think a lot of people don't do. I'm always amazed when I get on, this is such a huge pet peeve, when I get on, webinars or presentations, and like my 3 biggest pet peeves. One is when they have their bookmarks. Like all their bookmarks are still showing. So you can see like Facebook and
Fantasy
Twitter
sports.
and fantasy sports, and you can see like all the places they go, distracting. Second biggest one is pop-up notifications. Oh, you got an email from Sally. And they're just popping up
Always
constantly.
either Sally or Bob.
Sally or Bob. Those
Sally
people,
or Bob are such big emailers.
And my third biggest pet peeve for online presentations is when they have the presentation, but they don't actually go full screen. They just leave it in
presentation mode.
Yeah, they just leave it so you can kind of see it, but then they just.
Do you know what's my favorite move?
What?
Super rookie move.
What?
It's when you have 2 screens.
Yeah.
And when you go into like a PowerPoint presentation mode and you have 2 screens, one screen is your like notes screen and your next slide screen.
Yeah.
And the other screen's the actual presentation.
Yeah.
I love when you just get the notes in the next slide. You see the notes.
That's good.
And someone's like reading it.
I was actually on a call the other day showing stuff, and I try not to use show main screen too much because I don't want things flying in that shouldn't be flying in.
That's why I use.
But I got a FaceTime call, and somehow one of the latest updates to OS X like re-enabled that on my my machine. All of a sudden, my face shows up because it's FaceTiming me, right? The phone was going off, which they wouldn't have seen, but then it's like live shooting me on the screen, and of course they're seeing that. And I was like,
Did you answer it?
No, it was in a T-shirt.
Who's it from?
I don't know. Oh, I think it was my wife. She like butt FaceTimed me.
Butt timed?
Okay then.
All right, we'll leave it there.
We'll leave it there. We're not even gonna touch that. Not even with the pole. Nope.
You kept going and it didn't work. That didn't get you out of the woods. Still in the woods.
It's in the forest. No.
Still in the woods.
All right, keep going.
Oh, it's no good.
Wait, this might be the lost episode.
This is the worst.
This might be the lost
Stupid
episode.
Catfish. Let's keep going. Catfish. So stupid.
All right, the next blog post is what? What's the next one?
Salesforce objects is superheroes.
Oh, come on.
You wrote this.
I know, so good.
It's a great idea. Execution is whatever.
It's a 10 execution.
It's like a whatever execution.
And
so what'd you do here? You took like 4 objects,
right,
and you went ahead and drew a parallel to 4 superheroes.
Yes.
You said these objects are these superheroes for this reason.
This was,
and you really showed your depth and breadth of superhero knowledge. You stayed very surface level.
Oh yeah, because I was going for like the big ones. Like if we went down to like, I have other blog posts that I'm going to do about this. I could do a whole series. We could do a villain series.
Yeah,
we could do
villains.
We could do a lesser known series. Lesser known
dead superheroes.
Dead superhero. That's true. Presentation builder.
We need dead superheroes.
Well, who could that be?
I don't know.
Doctor Strange. I don't know.
I don't know superheroes.
So there you go. So I wanted, but that's the point. Is it was meant to be for everybody. So I didn't want to go to like.
So you got some stuff in here. You got big, powerful. You went for like the big and the powerful.
I'll tell you, it is tough. Here's why it's tough. Because you could make the argument, obviously, you could make the argument that this is this. It came about because I was on a call explaining Salesforce to somebody, probably a client or a prospect, and I said, this is, I always talk about the gold objects, right? Like we call opportunities the gold object because it's sort of the most expensive. You need to have the highest license. And so at one point I was making an analogy to superheroes.
Did you happen to call it Superman? Nope, you called it Thor. You went with Thor on opportunities.
I went with Thor on opportunities because I feel like Superman's like more grounded and also bigger.
You went with accounts for Superman.
Yeah, that's correct.
Because it's like the mother of all.
It's also the most well-known like superhero. If you ask anybody, like, what's the it's either Spider-Man, Superman, or Batman, or like are the 3 most known superheroes. Superman's pretty much the most known superhero. So it's kind of thinking like, well, accounts are kind of like the most known, right?
I was waiting for you to go with leads on this thing, but you didn't do it. You did cases, opportunities, accounts, and contacts.
Right.
I wanted leads.
I had one for leads. I had it.
To see where you were gonna go with leads.
I had leads.
It's a sequel.
Let's
leave them in suspense.
I did leads. I was going to do, I did orders and quotes. I have one for that. I actually already have that one. Here's a hint. Wonder Twin powers activate.
You're whispering.
I know. That's why no one hear me.
You stayed in the DC Marvel universe.
Yes.
I'm wondering is Neo a superhero?
No.
Why not?
Really? You picked Neo?
I don't know.
From the Matrix?
Well, I'm trying to think of like weird things that could potentially be superheroes. Like, is
the Crow,
Beatrix Kiddo from Kill Bill? You know, Uma Thurman's character. She's a superhero. She kicks serious tail. She's like a superhero.
No,
you can't kill her.
You don't understand what a superhero is then.
Why?
Because superhero isn't just
what makes her different than like Batman?
Because Batman is first of all a comic book superhero, has many books about them, and they have like a history. She doesn't
have a history.
No, she has a book. She's one movie. She's not even a comic book hero.
Well, you didn't say comic book hero. You said superhero.
Superheroes.
You didn't say comic book hero.
No.
Now you're changing the rules.
She's not a superhero. That's terrible.
She could be. She's totally a superhero.
This shows you how little you know about superheroes.
I want to hear from the audience of people who are still listening. who thinks that she's a superhero and who thinks she's not a superhero. Because I think she
Why don't you
has
why-
all the characteristics of being
Why
a
don't you
superhero.
tell them again what you're saying? Because no one picked up what you said.
Uma Thurman's character from the Kill Bill
Yeah.
2 movies is a superhero.
Okay. Next up.
All right.
Dumb.
What's next?
Catfish.
Catfish.
Catfish ketchup.
You're being catfished right now.
So
By
next up,
listening to this.
we typically kind of talk about this last time.
This Apple thing?
The debate is kind of over a little bit because
It's over because we only care about things for like 2 weeks at a
well,
time.
no, and it ended. It actually ended. So the story was, and this is it feels like 100 years ago, but it was less than a month ago. As part of a terrorist, I guess suspect, or I guess
The San Bernardino?
yes,
Deals.
they got his phone and they couldn't get into it. The FBI couldn't get into the phone, and so they asked Apple. They said, "Apple, we want you to build us a back door into this phone so we can get at the data." And Apple and the rest of the tech community, pretty much in unison, said, "We're not doing that.
No.
That's a bad slippery slope." They wanted them to build a separate operating system that you could install on the phone called GovOS or something, maybe, that then would allow you to then get in, because the security on it is pretty good, and with Touch ID and with the passcode and the 5, you need to, if you do it more than 10 times, it auto erases, so you can't just keep going and trying to figure it out. And it became a big debate. I do feel a little weird about this just because I'm very much about privacy, obviously. I mean, I do feel very big about privacy. But then part of me is, I guess part of me is trusting of the government, I guess. I'm not fully. But I think the point that where I think I read when I was reading up on it and kind of going over the arguments, the one that I thought was most relevant was, if you create a backdoor, yes, you can give it to only one person, but the chance of that backdoor then being exploited by someone who isn't the government or isn't the good guy is much, much higher. And that they shouldn't have that. There shouldn't be that ability because it's just another exploit. You're basically building an exploit. So anyway, I just thought it was an interesting debate. Now what happened is they were going to sue them. They were going to take them to court. They ended up not suing them and taking it out of court because they hired a hacker who got into the phone. So kind of making the whole thing null and void. But I was impressed by the tech community just saying, no, security encryption is important, and we're not going to just sort of do what you want because you're the FBI and you're the government and you're going to sue us. And
What's up
Apple
with this hacker
specifically,
dude?
huh?
What's up with this hacker guy? So now he knows how to hack iPhones or what?
I don't know what technique he used or whatever,
Is
but
it
he was
like
able
an
to do
older
it.
iPhone or something.
It was a little bit older.
Some deal.
I've heard that the newer ones are even tougher, the way that they encrypt things on the device. It's much tougher to get into. So I guess that's the debate is like, it's kind of like the Patriot Act. It's like, oh, is it protecting us as citizens of the United States from people who want to do us harm by allowing the government to get to these things? Or is it making it worse and allowing people to get into things that we don't want them to? And privacy and digital privacy is just a huge, huge debate, and maybe we shouldn't even be talking about it. But I'll say one of the outcomes of it is Apple's now moving or is building their own server farm to do a lot of their iCloud stuff because they want to even have more control over it. They want to have more control over the hardware and the software stack because they want to make it more secure. Right.
Sure.
Comments?
Nope.
No? Don't you want to talk about it?
I don't have a hot take on this one.
So you don't care?
No.
Should the FBI had gotten access?
I don't care.
Really?
One way or the other, yeah.
Okay, we'll move on then.
I'm sorry, I don't have a take on it. You just talked about it. I mean, whatever. It's over.
It's not over. It'll come up again.
Maybe.
This episode of CloudFocus Week to You brought to you by Ignorance. Ignorance! You can find it everywhere.
Bliss.
It is bliss. Alrighty. So we also had some Salesforce World Tours.
Yeah, you
What's your
went
take on that?
I don't have one.
Nothing. Whatever. Didn't happen.
You went to Chicago.
Chi-Town.
I went to Boston.
I went to Chicago 2 weeks ago.
I went to Boston last week.
Yeah.
Who's your special keynote guest in Chi-Town?
Bill, it wasn't one. It wasn't like a
They don't like roll that out.
It
there?
wasn't like a Bill Belichick, if that's what you're thinking.
Because like Boston and New York, they just roll out
Right.
the stars.
Yeah, last year was Tom Brady in Boston. This year was Bill Belichick.
And last year in New York was Derek Jeter.
So this year must
in
be
New York.
Who's the general manager of the Yankees?
No, they wouldn't bring out a person on the Yankees because they're actually playing right now. So you may get like a Giant or a Jet or something.
You ain't getting that. No, but there's another one in December.
There's one in
when
May.
They're not playing. Right, but there's another one in December already.
Oh, well, there's one in May.
Okay.
Like in a month in New York.
If it's a Jet or a Giant, I'll be happy.
Or a Nick or something. I don't know. Maybe if the Rangers are out of the playoffs, who knows? Whatever.
Maybe
They go for these sports stars.
So anyway, I went to Chicago. It was.
I didn't go to the keynote. I missed it. I mean, it's too far away. I can't get there in time.
Wow. How did I get to Chicago and get to the keynote?
You flew there the night before.
That's right.
I tried to go the night before, and I was going to stay the night of. You went for like a 2-day jaunt.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah. I was doing a 1 day on the train.
Right.
So couldn't get there in time. Missed the keynote.
Anyway, I went to the keynote a little bit. I had my session. I did like a admin theater session on mobile administration. So it was kind of starting right after the keynote. So I kind of had to leave a little early. There was nothing new. Sorry.
Who did it? Keith Block?
It wasn't Keith Block.
Oh.
Someone else.
You didn't even get Keith Block.
No, I didn't get Keith Block. No special guest, no Keith Block. But it was good. It was fun just to see. For me, it's just to see where Salesforce messaging is. Like, where are they focusing? It
Couldn't
was still
move too much.
No, well, sometimes in these ones they change them, but it was very much on Dreamforce. Very much Internet of Things. Very much the customer. Very much stories. All connected. It was the same
Coca-Cola.
stories. Yeah, there was no new stories.
Coca-Cola, maybe a little General Electric up there.
Yeah, it was all those. They did a nonprofit.
Turbines.
It wasn't turbines. And then
someone
same
buy
thing.
A boat on Twitter.
Expo. They did the expo floor.
Yeah, I've got this 40-foot yacht. I see you're talking about boats on Twitter in Arizona. Using my Wave Analytics app on my phone. Would you like to buy?
You like to buy a boat? It's funny they did not talk about Wave a lot, which is interesting. It was very much more customer, and then the coming of the Internet of Things and how we're all prepared.
They talk about thunder.
No thunder.
Lightning, a lot of lightning. Lightning's so awesome. They have to talk about lightning.
They talked about it, but not again. I think they just it's like Chatter. Like when the Chatter came out, they talked about Chatter, but then eventually they don't even talk about it at all. It's just part of the product.
Lightning.
Right?
It's just lightning.
So how was Boston?
Meh.
Wow, you are just the best today. This could be.
I didn't go to the keynote.
Remember this one. Catfish Ketchup is the greatest podcast Justin ever recorded. His opinions from to I don't care.
Snoring sound.
There's a range of opinions.
Emoji snore. Yeah. I mean, I walked the floor, the expo floor. There's like 25 booths.
Do you think what percentage of people that go to these events don't go to Dreamforce?
A lot.
So you think, well, that will give me a percentage.
50%.
I'm going to make your job really easy. I'm going to ask you like yes, no questions.
56.5%
of the people who are at Boston and Chicago don't go to Dreamforce.
Yeah, because they can't. Their business won't send them, or they're there by themselves, or whatever it is.
I think it's probably higher. I'm thinking like
doubt
60.
There's anyone who sponsors these events that doesn't go to Dreamforce. That would be silly.
Right.
All the expo booths were products, with the exception of a small few.
Right.
There might have been one, maybe service provider.
Yeah, it was mostly products.
All products. All just demoing stuff to people.
Right.
They had a partner theater where they had some of the people who were sponsoring the booths were able to present their stuff.
Yeah.
Some of them were kind of busy, and some of them there was literally like, I think I sat there for one because there were tables in the back, and the only people that were there were people that were sitting at the tables. No one was sitting in the chairs in the front. And the guy's like, so who's here just because they wanted to sit at a table? And like everyone kind of raised their hand. He's like, because that makes this a lot easier. He kind of just presented to nobody. It was kind of sad. Sorry. I won't mention who it was, but it was kind of sad.
Presented to nobody?
Yeah, there was the developer zone theater in the back corner, and there was the admin in the back right corner, and those were kind of crowded the whole day for the most part. Those
they had Trailhead going on. I saw that.
It was all like camp.
Yes, the camp theme.
I think those are like the very popular things there, and there were some somewhat knowledgeable people manning the Salesforce booths, which was good because they had a lot of booths, a lot of different clouds now. So you've got the whole marketing and the sales cloud separate from the service cloud, which is separate from the app cloud, which is separate from the marketing cloud, which is then they bust out like a mobile thing and then they break out a whole other thing. There's like 7 or 8 different Salesforce spots to hit up. So it's nice when you can go talk to someone who knows what they're talking about there, which doesn't always happen. Sometimes people are just there to work and don't necessarily, they're like, oh, and I will show you this most basic of thing. And I mean, to me, it was nice to be there, catch up with people that I don't see all the time or only see a couple times a year. It's nice to see them there. Other than that, I probably could have done without it.
Oh, we had clients speaking, which is always nice.
That was nice.
Right.
I didn't see any of them because it was too early. But that was cool. I'll go to the one in New York because it's in New York as well.
New York, I find, is pretty big. Like it's compared to these other, much bigger.
Boston and
Chicago's pretty
small.
Trying to think of other. Did you come with me to Atlanta? Where I went to Atlanta.
Oh, I've been to an Atlanta, but it wasn't really it wasn't a world tour. It was one of those like innovation hub things. It was more for like CIOs or CTOs as opposed to a big world tours thing. But that was actually good because Peter Coffey was the keynote speaker, and to me, he's like their best keynote speaker. I prefer to listen to Peter Coffey speak.
I forgot if he was there or not. I don't know. All right, let's move on because that was pretty much the most boring topic we've ever talked about.
Pretty awesome. Thanks.
Ketchup.
Cool. Yeah.
So what's next?
Ketchup. What is next? Next is so Twitter acquired some product called Peer, P-E-E-R. And the only reason why I kind of threw this on here is because it was a startup that was started by George Hu. And George Hu was a big deal at Salesforce for a while, and for us old schoolers, he was like a C-level guy before Salesforce was more than like 5,000 employees, right? So back in the mid-late 2000s, he was a big deal. I think he was their COO or something like that. Oh, yeah, former chief operating officer. There it is, right there in the... There it is.
COO.
So he started up this company called Peer, which has already shut down following the deal.
But he started up November... Yeah, the guy who went from... I'm reading an article, November 19th, 2015.
Well,
so that was
apparently they Twitter thought it interesting enough to purchase.
Within 6 months.
Correct. And they are now owned by Twitter. So Peer was like a performance review thing that made it easy to do quick performance reviews. Who knows why Twitter bought them? Maybe the people. Who knows?
Right.
I don't know what Twitter's going to do with performance review.
You're going to tweet your performance review.
I guess. All right. What's next?
Actually, a quick story. Power of the Twitter. So, as you know, because you've seen the video, my wife, who does not believe in the tweeter, she calls it, because I don't know, she was in it for a while and then she just gave up on it. So her and her 53 followers.
Those are 53 people who are missing out.
Well, the point is, the other day, this is a thing with the concert tickets, and the thing wouldn't give back. It was kind of like just a bad customer service thing. And she decided to go onto Twitter and to start blasting. And I thought she did something I've never done, which instead of going at the company, which she did, she also went at all these like channels like New York One, Seven on Your Side,
News
The View.
outlets.
Yeah, news outlets
People
saying...
might consider it a human interest story.
And lo and behold, there's a news crew in my house 2 days later filming it. It turned out going onto New York One. And within one phone call from the news outlet to the company, they reversed course and gave back the money. So I was like, that's kind of cool. I mean, it's sort of a Twitter story that she used social media not just to shame the company, which didn't work. She used social media to get a traditional news who did a real video, and then through a phone call actually shamed them enough. And then they still aired it. They still aired the whole thing. And
I saw it.
Yeah, it was kind of cool. I don't know. I definitely go after companies that I think are behaving poorly or if they're doing great. I like to go after them, tell them they're doing great. But she was on a mission and she got them. She got things. She probably won't tweet for another 6 months.
She made me retweet her tweet.
I'm convinced that she was getting no traction. And I said, why don't you ask Justin and I to retweet? I said, I'll retweet it because I have a few more followers and you have a few more followers. So I'm like, we could probably make a little bit more traction as opposed to her 53.
And then
followers.
we could talk about it on this podcast, and then it'll just go viral.
It's gone viral.
It's Ketchup.
Just went. All right, what's next?
Ketchup.
Catfish.
So Catfish is next. So Salesforce and Zendesk are racing to build these bots on the Facebook Messenger platform. So
Remind me about Salesforce Facebook Messenger because I'm not really. I mean, is it the little thing that pops up for the chatting thing?
Well, it's a separate app.
Okay.
Yeah, it's basically. I don't want to call it WhatsApp because Facebook owns WhatsApp too, but it's like WhatsApp. It's kind of a chat.
Right.
But they built an infrastructure within it, a lot like Slack, that has the ability for bots to be in there. So you can have conversations with companies inside of Messenger. And the bots can be smart, and they can also apparently have human interaction on the other side of it, where Salesforce has built already Salesforce for Messenger. So
okay.
Yeah. So they give, of course, a story of, imagine a traveler stuck on the runway is worried she'll miss her connecting flight. She can communicate directly with the airline via Messenger, rebook her connection for a later time, and relax knowing that she'll get where she needs to go. So companies can start interacting with people via one-to-one communications. Think of it as kind of live agent, but inside of this Facebook Messenger wrapper.
Okay. So kind of what they're doing today with direct messaging via Twitter.
Right. So, but this is, I feel like there's an automated piece to this as well where it can start auto-replying because they're calling them bots, which implies that they are somewhat automated.
So what, Salesforce built it so it goes into cases?
Yeah, basically, so that there's a little connector, and Zendesk too did the same. So they're kind of racing to get in on the Facebook Messenger support channel. They're just like, hey, it's another channel.
Right.
It's like phone, it's like chat, it's like email, it's another way.
Have API will follow.
Right. And of course, it's all made possible by Salesforce Lightning, the next generation of our platform.
It would be funny to know that actually has nothing to do with Lightning.
Has everything to do with Lightning. Lightning's the platform, man. Get the messaging down. Get the messaging down.
I will.
It's the platform.
Until they change it. Until they change it. And then I'll get that one down.
No. Get it now.
Chatter?
Force.com.
Catfish. Catfish Ketchup. All right. So, I mean, I find it interesting. We talked about Slack because we use Slack and have used it for now like 8 months or so.
Slack bots.
And the bots that are in Slack are kind of cool. There is a Slack bot, and then you can add other ones to do things. I don't know. I'm not a big Facebook guy. Facebook Messenger is about as far away I'm going to go. I don't really use GroupMe and WhatsApp except for when I travel like internationally.
WhatsApp's so much better than like having a 12-person SMS conversation.
I'm sure.
It just keeps it.
I just don't have a lot of
better.
12-person SMS conversations.
That's because you don't have groups of people or things that you do in a group setting. But you kind of do, so you should.
But you do them with like you have a series of buddies that you all are in one big.
But I'm also on a softball team, so there's 11 of us that all have WhatsApp, and instead of having to have these, you know how iMessage screws around,
yeah,
and like all of a sudden you've got 4 of the same conversation.
Yeah, no, that's terrible.
It's awful. Well, WhatsApp doesn't mess that up.
Right.
It's actually way better. If you have 11 people, it's way better, and it's all over data. So
right.
That's better too. So
well,
cross-platform, it's all over data.
iMessage is all over data too.
Well, it's not if you have people that aren't on Apple, and that's
crazy.
The case when you have 11 people. Not everyone's going to be on an iPhone.
Right.
WhatsApp's better than iMessage.
Well, I'm sure.
It is.
Does it have a desktop app?
It's a web desktop app.
That's not a thing. That's not a thing.
Yeah, it's in a tab. Just throw it in a tab in your browser. You're done.
Then everything's a desktop app.
Well, so is Gmail. You can tell me that's not a thing.
No, it's not a desktop app.
It's an app.
No, it's not. It's a website. Anyway.
Salesforce not an app.
Not on a desktop. Nope. It's not. Chatter desktop app is a Chatter desktop.
Oh, I haven't opened that one in a long time.
Yeah, try. All right, let's get to
what would happen. It might blow up. I have no idea.
All right. So next time,
what are we doing?
Next time we have a couple topics, but the topic we're going to do next time is called Redisconnected. That's the topic.
All right.
Yeah.
Whatever.
You like that?
Whatever.
All right, go for it. What's your pick of the week?
Why
do we call this pick of the month?
I'm picking an app that I'm like repicking because they've made so many enhancements.
They really have
over the time. So I'm gonna pick Cirrus Insight because very recently they've made some improvements, and since I've started using it, they've improved immensely. I mean, now they're really a very good competitor to any server-side syncing solution for email, calendar, contacts, whether you're using Gmail or Microsoft. They do a great job on that. They do a great job in bringing information into context with their side panel. And now they're doing things on the, deep in the back end where, you can just set it and forget it. And just every email that you send to a contact or a lead that's in your Salesforce, it will connect it as an activity to that contact or lead. You can also from Gmail select just certain threads. So you can say, I want this thread as it goes to sync into Salesforce, or just incoming, or just outgoing. You can.
Do you turn this on for yourself?
Have I not yet? I'm a little scared of it. I don't know what's gonna. I feel like it might blow a lot of. I do a lot of emailing. You can also relate it to, some criteria like the most recently created opportunity related to the contact, that kind of thing. It also, there's so many things that Cirrus can do nowadays, but I'm just gonna go ahead and
repick Cirrus Insight.
Repick it as a whole. Know that you can sync a lot of stuff in your Gmail. I'm going to pick it specifically for Gmail and your Google Calendar and your contacts.
And even email campaigns. Do you see this?
Oh, yeah. There's a button, campaign. You can pull from a Salesforce report or a list view. You can do email tracking. You can do send laters. A lot of stuff Gmail can do, but you can do it all through Cirrus, and it's pretty neat, actually. I really like the tool. It makes life a lot easier. And this, I will eventually turn this on for myself. I need to sift through all the settings first, and I haven't had the time to really get it down because I don't want every email. That's just a waste.
Right, it's a lot.
It's a ton.
So I'm going to pick something that I think I mentioned, but I didn't pick. Unless I did pick, but I don't think I picked it because I hadn't used it yet. But now I'm picking it because I used it. This would be good for nonprofits. It's a good nonprofit tool. So I recently went to an auction. It was a PTA school fundraising auction. Now, I've actually run these things before with my old school and PTA. But this one was for a new school in PTA, and as part of when you bought your tickets, they said, "Oh, you got to download this app called Handbid." And I was like, "Oh, that's kind of interesting." So I downloaded the app and I signed into it, and it is basically a mobile auction bidding system. So in traditional auctions at these fundraisers, they have a little table and they have like you write down your number or there's tickets or something. Like there's always some way to do it, but it's also manual. This way, you download this app called Handbid. You then find your event. So I found this it was a gala, and I went in, I found it, and you could browse all the things that are for sale, right? And they had what the starting price, what it was. The nice thing is you can open up the auction in advance of the auction, so people who aren't even going to the auction can still bid on things because you can still see everything. But what's cool is it just had really nice like functionality. It was just really well built. So you could go and set a top bid. So you say, oh well, it's at $100. I'm going to bid up to $400, and then it would auto bid for you. There was notifications if you got outbid. It was also texting you if you wanted. So if you wanted to like
buy
get
some good stuff.
I didn't buy stuff. I participated in the auction.
Did you win?
I won a few things.
Nice.
But anyway, really cool little app. And then all the payment, you just put in a credit card, of course, and then all the payments done through that. So it just happens. Like there's no, at the end, having to go find the person. I used to be the treasurer of the PTA, and I was one of the people who had to like take these credit cards for this 100 items. And it was such a pain. This thing was just seamless. So if you're running an auction, again, I'm sure not for the massive, I don't know what they take as a cut, but Handbid, really well done, great little app. The only issue is obviously you have to get everybody to have, you have to have everybody. And they had set up little iPads with Handbid on it, and you could like do it just kind of like right there. You didn't have to have it. So it had another like thing, but there are iPads around that you could go bid on. Anyway, cool. I don't know who it's by. I actually look it up. I guess I could look it up right now. Handbid, it's free, obviously. Yeah, mobile silent auction platform. Really, really cool. Really cool little app. All right, so that's it for this week and maybe this month. Who knows? At Just Edelstein, at Jason Matwood, at Arkus Inc., Facebook.com/Arkus Inc., Success Community, Power of Us Hub groups, we're there. LinkedIn, we're there. Google Plus, as it still exists, we're there. We're also on Subscribe. You need to subscribe and review us if you can, please, 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 on iTunes and Stitcher. And then we'll be back in a period of time to be known or seen, especially with this new news announcement that we're not allowed to talk about till tomorrow afternoon, which is going to be quite interesting to talk about. We're going to really have to have a pre-show talk.
We kind of do.
But we didn't do that for the last time. We just wung it.
Yeah.
And it turned out fine.
Bang head against microphone.
Okay, don't do that. That doesn't sound good to anybody. All right. That's Justin. I'm Jason saying enjoy those cloudy days.